Hey, welcome everybody to Friday Night at the Crib. It's open mic. I posted the link on the right-hand side in case you would like to join us. We're going to talk about the changes that were released on Wednesday evening, and plus probably some. We'll see if they have an announcement about some somewhat sad news coming from Kixeye. We'll see if that drops during the show. And I'll go ahead and introduce everybody from left to right on your YouTube screen. Wayne.
G'day.
Toxic.
G'day everyone, how are we doing?
Is it morning still though?
Sure is.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Magic Mike.
I was going to say I hope you all had a good 4th of July, but I'll just say good evening to everybody.
Okay. John.
Hello all.
And G-Daddy.
Hey guys and girls.
Oh, and I skipped Creamers. Sorry about that.
Yeah, just leave me out. Like the redheaded stepchild.
Zach jumped in the middle and took off my order. And Padre?
Oh, and hi everybody.
Good day.
And the almighty Spack.
Good evening.
Okay.
I'm just getting a beer. Hang on.
Okay. Alrighty. And this is Hefe. And I guess we start talking about Rampage Live. The announcement of I think the escalation weapons we haven't seen the stats on it, but from what Rampage told us, he at least said the damage is the same of the new escalation weapons, but they all provide a speed bonus boost.
Yeah.
This is coming in the second raid of the 4-month cycle, as opposed to previously they tended to drop a little bit later. They don't seem to have as much of the huge of an impact as they had in the past.
The only thing that was interesting was the CIC that equaled out the ship speed of all the ships, so you could run mixed ships if you wanted to.
But that was a skirmish CIC, right? That's for hunters and.
Was it?
Okay.
No,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Siege.
No,
it was for. I thought he said
it's for our
hydras. Oh, is it? Okay. I misunderstood him then. Go ahead.
I thought he said it was for the
it was because it has increased corrosive reload, increases the uptime of your Scorpion aura, and it unifies the speed of all the mana cores in the fleet.
Which I think is telling you something, you know.
So you can run the scattergun holes with your missile holes, and they'll all be the same speed. Since they have the different CICs, you know, they would normally be at a different speed.
Or maybe
I think you'll be able to auto then too.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point about the autoing. And my thoughts were like, I don't know how the mechanism works, but what if you buff the speed just like crazy on one of your ships? And if it matches to the fastest one, or I don't know if it matches to the fastest one or the slowest one, you know, probably the slowest one.
Didn't we have a ship that had a mechanic like this before?
The Avenger?
Yeah, maybe that was it. It didn't work, did it?
Didn't work.
No, that was and it kept on changing the speed based on the amount of damage you took. Yeah,
Isn't it a crew you're talking about?
There was it was very similar. The hull dropped prior to the crew, which is the Midnight Marauders.
Isn't the mechanic in the target all the weapons are splash based? The last thing you want is all your ships running together. Right?
Yeah. But also, if you wanted to have the opportunity to run, you want to have the opportunity to run the scatterguns with the missiles if there's some reason behind that.
Yeah, that was that I was thinking was trying to be made.
I'd like my missile horse to drive slightly behind my corrosive ones. I don't think there's a way to make that happen.
Yes, because the range is much greater.
Exactly.
Mhm. Okay.
And they take a lot more damage.
Does that enable you to just use one flagship though? For both? Not sure.
It would seem to.
Yeah, might be able to.
Mhm.
Because then you don't have a speed issue. So you just put that TIC on the flag, and I guess you move it around, and everything stays together.
Yep.
Yep, that makes sense. And there was also, were they armors or were they
They were not
specials?
armors. They were specials.
Specials.
They were specials. Okay, one's providing corrosive and one's providing reactive reinforcement. So it seems like just um, a step up of what we already have, because we seem to already have at least the reactive all by itself. So, but again, we didn't get any of the stats directly. We just got pictures and a little bit of a verbal discussion of them.
That's a fair amount of refits. If someone wanted to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of makes me glad that I've started building, one fleet with scatters, and I'm building like basically a blank ship. It's too bad that some of them I've already put CICs on them.
Maybe we'll get tokens in the raid this time.
Maybe we'll get 4 shipyards.
Nice.
Yeah, we're gonna get an FM shipyard. We're gonna get a subsector resource base shipyard. It's gonna be.
Wait, you guys don't already have 4 shipyards?
Yeah. So, was there anything else interesting in Rampage Live? Besides the fact that he
was
wrote on the
pretty cool.
whiteboard. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I like the fact he's doing a little memo after he does his thing, so people can just read it and not have to listen to the whole thing. That was really good. Positive note.
Oh, he has done that. Okay, I missed that.
Yeah, he did a little memo on the last one. If he can do the memo again, then I might be able to read it.
Yeah, this is cool stuff's really getting old.
Yeah, well, it seems to be ingrained in him. He couldn't stop. He knew. Busted it out 3 times in a minute, but oh well.
What I thought was pretty cool was at least they're giving us they're kind of listening, and they're telling us, hey, we're working on this and this should be fixed by this date, or I guess this update.
I agree.
So kudos for that, at least.
It was a bit more informative. Yes.
So, sort of rolling it out in a nice fashion, basically, exactly how we had asked. Whether that was because they were listening or because somebody talked to them or they just had common sense. Either way, I agree. I like that.
Or I hate to put a negative on it, or is this damage control?
Oh, this is definitely damage control, but I think the path forward. I think that the path forward has to be one of mitigating these situations from occurring in the future. And in order to do that, you've got to have a much higher level of transparency and openness about what the hell you think you're doing with the game. And not just dropping it on us and then trying to do, and then do the damage control. You're doing it up front when you start this practice. But
Do you believe the opt-out helped?
Do what?
I said, do you believe the opt-out helped?
Do I? I mean, I think that it got attention. I think that it got people asking questions. So yeah, I would say that the protest did have some effect. I'm not saying that all these changes are, because, the alliances that chose not to do the bounty were completely. I think eventually they would have figured out something that's wrong or is wrong. but I would like to believe that this sort of lit a little bit more of a fire to get them motivated to address these issues. So,
Yeah, and if
I
that's
mean-
true, it should carry forward into the future when they keep on hearing the player base say, "This is a problem. This is a problem. This is a problem." Like, okay, as opposed to them have the attitude, they'll deal with it. Well, they could see that there's potential for a player-based reaction that they might not be happy with.
yeah, and if it was to continue in the same vein that it's been continuing without them trying to do damage control or improve their practices, I think that sort of thing would only grow moving forward. So next time, instead of 5 or 6 full alliances and some scattered players, maybe the whole top 20 alliances don't participate in an event. You know, if they don't address the concerns of the players and they don't put out a product that's worth purchasing, I think that eventually people will band together and get over, because I think a lot of people just are so scared to fall behind, but there comes a point in time at which you're like, I'm either going to quit or they're going to fix this. Some people were there, some people weren't. So
As
Well,
as a long time player, my thing is, I mean, I didn't even look at the report. To be honest, I'm not interested in looking at a report anymore. I'm not interested in what they say and type. I'm interested in what actually happens. I'd rather spend my time coming onto a show like this and talk about things, because there's been so many times in the past there's been damage control for certain things, and it's the same thing over and over. I just want to see action.
I agree.
Well,
This can't be a one and done kind of thing. They have to carry these kinds of I guess practices, we'll call them. These practices need to be carried forward, and this is only, in my opinion, a good small first step. I
yeah.
don't, I'm not like, yay, Kixeye, at this point in time. I'm still like, okay, congratulations in learning A in the alphabet. That's where we're at right now. We're at the letter A. So it's definitely a lot more that needs to come to fruition.
I suppose all I'm saying is to try and keep people's in perspective, that don't get too excited, because it wouldn't be the first time we've been promised, or they've said something, or they've given us a plan and it hasn't come true, or it's backfired, or they've gone reversed, or whatever. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good that we have to notice, though. I mean, that's because if they made all these changes and didn't and told us the day before, like they did with the over damage and things like that, that's a problem.
Well, this
and
way you have time to prepare.
I'm ready to give Kix maybe a chance at honesty again. It's a pretty hard thing to swallow.
Well, that's every communication that I've sent to them. Every word that's come out of my mouth when people ask, "Hey, what do you think?" And when I've talked with other players, one of the top ones is communication, open, honest communication from them. And if they can start managing that, I think they'll have a lot better relationship with the player base. If they say something's tentative, again, I take it with a grain of salt. If they say this is what they're doing, they better follow through with it, and they better communicate that plan early enough to where we can adjust our style of play or coin or whatever to make those changes, because just dropping a big FU bomb on everybody the day before doesn't cut it and doesn't build trust in the company.
And test servers for you guys that really know PvP probably be really good.
I think that would be a tremendous boon, because from what I understand, there's not a lot of PvP testing going on right now. And I'm not saying that the current testing group isn't adequate. I just don't think that well, a couple of things. I don't think that they're being given an opportunity to test the PvP aspect of the game. I feel personally, whether I'm included or not, I don't care. But I think there should be a group that is formed to actually look at PvP. Well, I'm not saying that there aren't testers that are currently testing that aren't qualified to do that, but I think that there are testers in there that I don't think are qualified to do that.
Very
At the
diplomatic.
same time,
But testing on their own dollar is the important part. They're using Kickside money. That's not the same.
Oh no, I get that 100%, but I feel like they should get people who actually excel and thrive in the game on PvP to test PvP. It's great to have number crunchers and people that can figure all that out. Those are definitely needed, but you need creative base hitters and fleet versus fleet players and things of that nature to really see what can be broken with the tech that they give. Because I guarantee you, a lot of times when they release stuff, there are unintended uses that happen for those things because they just don't have either the testing or the creativity involved in testing to see what the players will actually do with the
That's the
equipment
most
given.
fun you can have in game. Finding
Well,
those.
sorry.
That's the most fun I have in game. Just finding those little chinks and playing around with them.
Well, that used to be the funnest I used to have in the game. Is back in the days when you used to try to come up with a plan to counteract the targets, but now it's not as easy. But what I was just going to say on the comment that Brian was just saying to back that, I don't know if people remember here when somebody was testing at Kixeye a target, but they were testing with R16 ships that didn't even exist.
All I know is that the player base has got a lot more experience than the people in Kickside right now.
I would agree with that. Not
Totally.
necessarily at coding, but definitely at playing the game and understanding the game. So, I mean, they've got a great resource at their fingertips. I feel like they should probably open up a secondary group to test things. Again, I'm not a tester. I don't really have any affiliation with that group of people, but I think that they've probably been there for a long time, and there's probably something of a groupthink mentality going on there. And I don't think that that's necessarily a good thing for the game if you have a lot of people that kind of all think the same way. I think that responsibility should even be given out to people that aren't necessarily friends in the game. I'm fine. Like if I was in a test server, I'd say invite Keegan because Keegan and I we fight all the time, and I'm sure that we would against each other we would have different thoughts. I wouldn't want to be in a group where everyone thought the same way as me, unless it was my alliance. Then you know what I mean. But
And on that, when they're testing, they should test not just to test the target for how much damage you'll take or how many coins it would take. Test it on the conniving, on the outside the box theory that you have people that try to grind. You've got people who grind and spend lots of time. You've got people that will not sit a lot of time but try to get the target done quickly, and etc. You've got different range of people that play the game.
yeah, I agree for the target testing. Yeah, I think that that's also a good, valid. But I don't know. Personally, I don't really care about the targets. They're for me. I know other people have different opinions, but for me, they're the most banal and tedious part of the game. I do them just so I can get stuff to make other bases, to crack bases.
They can't really do that in a test server because they only get a limited time. They do as fast build as possible. They get advice from streaming people who are in the stream with them. They're changing stuff here, there, and everywhere. They're going out, they're testing targets. They come back, they change the ship builds again, and so on. It gets, time just dwindles, and before they know it, it's over.
But
They should be over a week long or more.
Yeah, there should be maybe more than one test session. I don't know, but I think you get 20 or 30 good PvP players in there, they're going to explore a lot of options pretty quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
I like the car, but I'm a Tony Stewart fan lifetime.
What?
The one thing that Kix needs to know though is that there's going to be, with all this, the good things that they do, like the letting us know in advance and communicating. They need to know that there's going to be some people that are going to whinge when one of the points aren't met in time, and Kix needs to not worry about these people and just keep doing what they started now. because there's always going to be, you know, whingers around that they got nothing else to do. So they just got to keep giving us the information. Doesn't matter who whinges, and not worry about it.
Oh, there's
That's a
always
new
gonna
word
be,
for me, but
yeah. It's like cringe or cry or whatever. I think.
wince and cringe, I think, a combination of
Whinge. Yeah. The I mean, it's like when Rampage or whoever made that post about the countermeasures. I posted on there, good job, thank you for this. You know, congratulating them on actually giving us an advance notice and creating a format that we had been asking for. And immediately, even I had 2 dislikes on my post. But I think people thought I was just, you know, maybe being like a kick size sycophant or suck up. But it wasn't that. It was, you know, I wasn't necessarily concerned with the content that they were delivering. I was I was more pleased with the fact that it was advance notice and that it was laid out well and that they were admitting that there were errors. So for me, that was a kudos.
The haters will always hate.
Oh yeah, I've got only one though, only one of those.
Unfortunately, all this is coming out just before Bounty.
Well, that means base hitting will be back right as Bounty starts, for the most part.
potentially, yeah. Yeah.
So now they just have to do something about that awful Bounty format.
I hope they will. I think they
I'm
have.
pretty sure they're not going to keep the glitch where you can kill a base, they secure, and you both get Bounty. I'm pretty sure they're going to fix that, which is definitely going to make it worse for the people that are actually playing a PvP event.
Mhm.
I'm just afraid about the turrets now are getting additive. They don't have their own value anymore, or they never did.
Yeah, they were always dependent
We
upon.
spoke about this last week, but yeah, the mechanics aren't great because if you're missing a couple of turrets, it means you're going to be doing nothing unless you've got all the turrets, and that kind of rules out people who miss events, middle players, things like that.
Yeah. My hope is that they will release, they won't change the limit, but in the raid, they'll release some of the turrets that people may be a little bit shy on during the raid prior to Bounty. That would be my hope. So everybody's at a somewhat even playing field. And then moving forward, they stop making the additive bonus damage related in this deflection environment.
I'm
I think
hoping
that's
they
one.
release a third damage type instead of leaving it just penetrative and ballistic.
Yeah, we're sure that's going to happen eventually. But what I'm saying is, we're in a deflection environment where things become very binary as far as whether you're doing 360 or you're doing 100, 1,000 times that damage. And in that environment, reflection-based environment, it makes more sense to make these bonuses something else besides damage, reload, range, supercharge, whatever you want to, projectile speed, whatever's appropriate, and get rid of it. It seems way easier to balance something of that nature as opposed to making it all damage based. Just to the point where you can, okay, now I can overcome deflection. It just seems like an easier playing field for them to work in, personally.
Well, over damage on turrets wouldn't hurt.
But you're still thinking backwards. You're still thinking with, okay, we can do over damage now, but what happens if we get rid of this whole thing where, based on range, the way it worked historically, short range stuff does more damage than long range stuff. You have all the turrets or the threats sort of stand alone by themselves with some other bonus that doesn't deal with overcoming deflection, like I said, like reload, supercharge, range, projectile speed, splash, whatever. Something that makes it easier for them to balance PvP as opposed to this binary. I'm doing 360 damage or I'm doing 360,000 damage. Make it something different. That way, it seems like it would lead itself to more creativity and base design, as opposed to I'm just going to pile up all this stuff, and now I can overcome deflection and kill everything.
Unfortunately, I'm a believer in a hard reset and going to resistance where they split off PvP and PvE and put them back together and get rid of the baloney.
Yeah, we kind of
Second
called
that.
that one this week. I think that's what they need to do at some point. They really have to. The problem is with the whole deflection mechanic. It's very black and white, particularly in terms of base defense, because you either need everything or there's no point in having anything. With the way things are at the moment, you've either got all the turrets and you can do damage, or you've got less than all the turrets and you can't do anything, especially with the proposed changes coming up. And what that does is it blocks out the middle and lower players. Now, with things like resistances, there's an analog level to the way your damage is applied. Whereas now is it basically digital. There's a 0 there, as a 1 there. You're doing damage or you're not doing damage. And I think that's a very negative to people who are up and coming, if you like. I know people who, they miss a raid, they miss a bounty, they take a month or 2 off, they want to come back and they're behind. And it's really hard for them to catch up.
Well, last bounty, I didn't get my last Halo, so obviously that's not working.
Yeah, because right now, I think, something like the original blunderbuss, if you have one original blunderbuss and you have an executioner 2, if you don't have enough executioner 2s, that blunderbuss is doing more damage because of the multi-shot and and that doesn't make it, the multi-shot and the reload, and that doesn't make a huge amount of sense at this point.
Also, it's still with one, you're still below deflection, so both are doing the same amount of no damage. Well, pass through, but.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're getting the reload on the executioner, you're firing one shot and doing 360, and then you have the old school blunderbuss or the basilisk or something like that, where you can up the multi-shot. You might be doing 360 times 5 or 6 as opposed to 360 times 1. And that's what I'm talking about. That this whole damage has damage buff for tier 7 in a deflection environment is very tricky to balance both on the player side and the developer side. The way I look at it. You see what I'm saying? As far as the higher reload and the higher multi-shot is going to do more damage if you're just doing pass through. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see it. And the problem is I don't think Kixeye will ever see that. That's a real bad thing.
Yeah. And Padre brought up a good point earlier as far as maybe a PvP testing environment. I think they should have, like they did historically. I don't know that this is the case now, but historically, like years ago, we would have independent groups testing the same stuff. I mean, the same test server, but they had different forum groups, and there was less groupthink. There was more the idea that one group may find something that the other one didn't, because somebody that's powerful in that group might say, "Oh, this is the issue, and that's the issue." The other group might find some different issue associated with it. And don't even have the groups know about each other. So to speak.
I'm on the show.
Okay, yeah, you're on the show, but
I am too.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Oh no, I was just agreeing. We're all on the show. Good times.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's possible for them to do that at all, but they could pick out 2 alliances and give just those 2 alliances half repair time or something. Give them a couple of new parts so they can only hit each other with that, and they can then test it for them that way for a week, a month, or whatnot.
I don't think that the majority of the player base is going to like that. I think something like a select swath of like one player from 20 different alliances or 50 different alliances into the test server. Because if you just limit it to one alliance, that's because regardless of these NDAs and things that these people say, I'm sure that some information gets disseminated, whether intentionally or not. I'm sure that information gets disseminated. So if only 2 alliances have access to that, that's going to be unfair to the other teams. And I'm not saying, that you can't trust anyone, but we're all pirates, so you can't trust anyone.
Why not open the server up to just every single leader of every single alliance that's in the game? There can't be that many alliances around.
Yeah, not many anymore. I mean, that was kind of one of my proposed suggestions, is either, alliance leaders, but I didn't want to seem like I was making suggestions that were self-serving.
Alliance leaders, half of them can't PvP though. That's the issue.
Well,
There's some.
They actually need to be smart and look around and pick players that they think can help, because it's not about us getting on the test server and things like that. It's ideal that they choose people, number one, they know can PvP, and number two, they can have a good relationship with and actually talk to.
I think metal leaders would probably work.
And then deliver a final result. And that's what it's about. So let them pick who they want on it, but for God's sake, pick people who can actually PvP.
Yeah, that's actually what I meant. Either the leader of the alliance, or they choose a person out of the alliance that can do ship builds, or really good with base defense, or good at hitting bases, whatever.
That's too much work. That's too much work for them to try and figure out who does this and who does that. I mean, the main thing I was saying is to have separate groups that don't come together to come, not have one group and keep on making it larger. Have separate groups so you come up with different thoughts, different ideas associated with it, and you're not influenced by one or two players. Is to diversify across, levels and metals and alliances and whatnot, then keep them separate. So everybody has different experiences that they then XI can take from these different experiences and potentially understand, what's going on at different levels and whatnot, because I don't like the idea that, the people with the top 20 metals, they get to figure it out. That would not work out.
Agree. You don't want people at the top of the medals table. If you think about it from their point of view, they are trying to design a bounty that is good for the medium players, is good for the top players, is good for the guys that are new to the game and all the rest of it. So why don't they choose the people they want that are relevant for that specific time? Not the same 5-10 people who've been on there the whole time, not the guys that are only at the top of the medals table. Let them choose who they want. All right, this guy's in the middle, this guy's active. Okay, send them a message. Do you mind coming on the test server for a week? Test this out for us. We'll do this for you. Yeah, great. Most of them will say. In other words, their own resources. Their players are a resource.
Who are they picking? Wait, I missed who's doing the picking?
Kixi.
Kixi.
Okay.
Scenario.
How's Kixi making the decision?
Trying to get the feedback and make a balanced game. Their players, the people who participate, are in their list of resources. So it's up to them to choose the players they want on there. Don't talk to the same fucking 5-10 people every week. If you want to make the bounty better for, say, lower players coming through, find out which lower players are active and then say, hey, right, okay, we'll pick 2 or 3 of them. It's really easy. They get the participation figures. 2 or 3 of them, come on, will you test this out for us? Oh, yeah, here's 50 gold. Thank you for coming and testing for an hour or 2. It's really simple. They should use their resources available to them.
But if they do
I
that,
tested for kicks for like years until I got a ban on discussion, and then they never invited me again, and I never got anything for anything.
Yeah.
Well, you don't need anything. They don't need to pay you for it. I mean, at the beginning, when the test servers first started with Eric Foley, I mean, and the guys they had on the team, we used to get dragged on to test stuff. Do you want to come on? Right, okay. And not the same people got invited back every time. I don't know why they don't have this set up anymore. It's a bit weird. But anyway.
Yeah.
It's just
It
with a
is
discussion
interesting.
ban, you're not invited anymore. And I really did good service for them for like 3 or 4 years, and because of Doom Rooster, I'm not allowed.
But if they would do that, they must then believe the information that these players give them, and not ignore it, but if it's not the way they think it should have gone.
It goes back to the communication issue. Really, once they sort out the communication and the proper testing and all that, I think half their problems in this game is solved.
I agree with that.
Yeah, agreed.
But so, what's next? See.
No, I'm sorry. I was trying to find the mute button. John's got his TV or something. Yeah, something going on. How's everybody's? Well, the big thing that we haven't talked about in open mic, and I'm not sure if I should wait for this later in the show.
You should wait for the announcement, sir.
No, not that, not that. I'm waiting for. I was more speaking with the idea of the new subsector resource bases and the fact that it appears that we need to build 4 new hulls.
We don't. Why do you need to build 4 new hulls? This is what I don't get. Why do you need a new hull at all? I'm going to talk about the idiot who coined chameleons.
Yeah.
Hold on,
Yeah.
I got screwed in the ass for it. So yeah, I'll bring that up again because I am the idiot that coined chameleons and got screwed in the ass. Did I mention that? Yeah. Okay. And then I saw this and I saw new hulls and then I thought, okay, they could be cool. And then I had a look at the target and played with the target. And I've got access to a second account. It's not mine, it's somebody else's, but I'm keeping him up to date. So I did a subsector base with 2 hydras and I did it on auto, one on top of each other. And it was about 40 minutes damage on each hull. Only repairing the flagship. I watched Renato's video and did it that way. And then I thought, okay, yeah, 2 accounts, sail on top of one another, auto, you can get your base parts, but I don't need base parts. My base is fully upgraded anyway. That's besides the point. And then I'm thinking, well, I can still hit the targets on the map for free. And I don't get as many resources, but I pretty much do them for free, and it might take me a little bit longer. Am I going to waste a month building a new fleet just for one specific target? And now they're giving me a raid with apparently nothing in it but chore fleets. If you keep throwing chore fleets at me, the whole reason I coined the chameleons at the beginning was so I didn't have to do as many chores and I could do them quickly. Now, maybe that's the mechanic they're going with now. Build this new fleet and then you don't have to waste your time doing chores. You can just go through and you're done for the week. I don't really see that, though, because the payouts, they're good, but they don't justify it. I mean, 500k base parts, that's nothing.
There just isn't enough time in the game to build more ships. I mean, come on. I don't even have started a second fleet yet.
I don't understand the logic. It's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. I don't see the selling point. And certainly after I coin chameleons, it's like I wouldn't do that again.
Well, when was the last base upgrade? Was it August or was it October? I can't remember now.
October.
With that coming up, maybe it's very base parts. Maybe you need a lot of base parts. Maybe they will let us use the base parts to upgrade. To the new.
But you can still do the base parts targets on the map, and if they update the base parts targets on the map, which is a bit of a screw up, but you can still do the other ones with the chore fleets you've already got. Why do you need to build a new fleet that hasn't been used in the raid just to do chores? But the whole logic is your fleet that you build in the raid is going to be valid for at least a year, right? That's their logic. You're not just going to build it for a raid and then it's useless. You use it afterwards to gather chores. Well, now they're also trying to sell us specific fleets for doing chores. It's like, why have you given us these things? I mean, you're undermining your own business model effectively. Build the raid fleet because you're going to need it to do chores. Well, actually, you're not going to need it to do chores. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, hello guys. I'm thinking, why is it that they don't fix PvP and all is about PvE? So does that mean that the revenue kicks I get now is only for chores? They don't mind the PvP aspect?
Well, they're not making anything on PvP right now.
They must be making money otherwise.
They're making money somewhere, otherwise it wouldn't be keeping lights on. So they're making money
Made a lot less the last month, if I had to guess.
It's probably a lot harder to fix PvP and make that profitable again right now than it is to just throw out a few more chores and chore fleets for us.
I've never seen this many offers. I mean, we've got 13, 14, 15 right now. We had how many during Bounty? They're just throwing out offers all over the place. It's like, oh,
There was two gold offers come out one after the other. So yeah.
What now?
No, well, was it last week and the week before?
Yeah,
they had
two gold offers. I've never seen that. I don't know. It strikes me as a little desperate. Maybe I'm wrong.
And the gold offers lasted forever. I mean, they really did.
Yeah, normally 12 hours, and that one was for what, 3 days? One of them.
Well, I can promise them this: if they could fix PvP and make it balanced again, they'd make a lot more money very quickly. Certainly from people I play with.
Yeah, we're pretty randy to hit some bases.
I'm very worried about this upcoming raid. I think it's going to be very expensive.
Well, if you don't need the Proto Centurion, why would you do it?
I expect the Halo in there, and maybe the other two ballistic turrets are going to be in it also. The ones that we missed. It's been 2 months.
The turrets are pretty cheap, right? Relatively.
They have been, but who knows?
Well, yeah. So you might need turrets. If they put some build tokens in there this time, I might see a reason to do it, but I don't see any reason at all to get the flagship.
I think it's a good opportunity to do some catch up for some of the other bases that don't have everything. They put catch up items in there so people can max out their turrets, because like everyone's saying, if you don't have all your turrets, your base is pretty much screwed, and nobody wants to be dead all the time or every time they hit somebody flat, because that's not a fun competitive environment. So I think they should take this opportunity to make this raid a catch-up raid and offer a lot of the tech that they've offered from this year for people that haven't gotten it. They can do it or not do it, but I think that more people playing on a competitive level is more fun for everyone. You know, if you're missing 2 turrets and you're not able to get them in your base in the raid or whenever, what's the point for you to keep, why do you even want to keep playing if you're just flat all the time?
Exactly. And also, I don't understand why the Sloth has gotten 4 nerfs so far. It was like the pig of the pigs for ships. And it keeps getting nerfed and nerfed and nerfed, and they're really strong now.
The Sloth is really the only viable hull. It's I don't want to say it's the longest running viable hull, but it's damn close, I feel like.
I can't think of
it actually is the longest.
Well, look at the Mauler. When did we get the Mauler? 2 months ago?
That thing's a trash hull.
3 months ago. It was useless 3 weeks after it came out because of the escalation. You can't make that hull viable. And I mean, okay, some people like it because it gives ships damage, but you're not breaking deflections on the defensive ships anyway, so what use is damage? Oh, but it gives your other hulls deflections. Well, it only gives you penetrative deflections, and it's ballistic that hurts the most. It makes no sense. It's useless.
Yeah, and the 70,000 is not
not significant.
Yeah,
it's completely insignificant. Yeah, it's useless. I mean, it boosts your damage on your attacking fleets, but you're not busting deflections. So, what's the point? It's all pass through now.
Yeah. Let's get back to the new protos as far as. I think that's a bigger issue that I think we got into as far as the proto Tideseeker, the proto Centurion. I think it's the proto Apollo. Yeah, they have a hard time coming up with. They need to hire the name person again. But
lazy design as well, right? Just put proto in front of an old hull and then change its stats a bit, and yay, we get money for no work.
We also have like Howie 6, Executioner. Everything is like, it's the same. They come up. The Inferno Dragon. I guess they came up with the Inferno Dragon, and then your favorite, the Chameleon. I'm still not sure why it's the Chameleon, but oh well. But yeah, the names have been lacking. But more my point that I was trying to get to was associated with the fact that we are going to have a skirmish and siege hall that exceeds what we were able to earn in the raid and build for the raid cycle. And we were told that these ships that we build are going to be viable and top of the line for a year. So what happens when they drop new time limited campaigns, things of that nature, where it appears obvious at this point that the hulls that we earned in the raids, used in the raids, our raid fleets, are not going to be top of the line. These are going to be secondary hulls, and how they make decisions. And how they make the decisions on that, as far as, okay, this is good enough. Your Buccaneer is good enough relative to the Proto Centurion, or your Hunter is good enough relative to the Proto Tideseeker. How are they going to make those decisions?
If you built Hunters, and I know people who've got Proto Tideseekers, Padre got himself a set of those. So if you built Hunters, you built those, what, 2-3 months ago? And if you built Proto Tideseekers, why do you need Hunters for anything? They're completely irrelevant. So that hull has only been viable for 3 months. It's useless to you. So you built a raid hull that they promised is going to be viable for a year, and now it's like, you can have the upgraded version if you want, but okay, what use is your Hunter now?
But Bucky's and the other fleet there, the Hydras, are supposed to be relevant for a year, and they're not.
Yeah, but the Proto Centurion is going to come out in the raid and make both of them shit in comparison, and you won't need either. So you've got 2 fleets there you can just delete if you build this. Well, that's not making my builds viable for a year. That's just giving me more shit to put in my shipyard on top of the raid fleets. I haven't even finished my Manticore raid fleets yet, and I've been using all my tokens on them. I don't have both fleets out, variants out. And now they want me to build this. It's like, okay. It seems selfish.
Yeah, it seems like a complete change of direction in the game that we were not clued in on. And that part is upsetting. The fact that we were not given any prior notice. I mean, the Proto Tideseeker came out, and we're like, okay, what the hell is this? They're giving us a free one, but it helps in some of the stuff. But it's obviously far superior to the Hunter.
Well, they told us we only need to build 1 raid fleet now, and we're not going to have 2 types of targets. But they forced us to build the corrosive one first, and then if we actually built the missile one, raids would be much cheaper. So that's a mechanic they're going to stick with. So regardless of that, you end up having to build 2 fleets of the same hull anyway. And on top of that, they want us to build the chores. I don't get it.
Actually, I understand the Apex Hunter in front of 4 Hydras is doing really well in the new camp and the new dub.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's not what I was specifically trying to get into, as far as, but we can get into that as far as strategies associated with the current dub and whatnot. I haven't hit any or the subsector resource base. I'm just wondering what sort of build / power creep that we're encountering, and I think that's what that's what SPAC was referring to as well. That we're okay, you know, we just finished a raid cycle and now this is dead. When we were previously promised that it would be viable for a year, and there was no communication that this is what's happening until now. It's like boom, you know, now we have these subsector resource bases, and it just, you know, let's say for them, like the next raid cycle, what's going to be the best one? Is this going to be the next raid haul? You know, are we going to re-release this? Or is this the point where we're getting raid haul way early? I mean, the lack of communication of what these hauls mean. It just feels
And then
very.
you've got escalation weapons as well, so you have to rebuild. Effectively, you still have to build 2 fleets. You need a missile and a corrosive. You don't need, but if you build the missile, the last raid will be much for you, obviously. And then you have to put the escalation weapons on, so you've still got the same amount of work, and now they expect you to build the proto shit as well. It just doesn't make sense.
I have a theory with in the TLCs, you get all these conquest yard tokens, and the low level players can't get them. It's the higher level players that can get them. Are they going to build it so that there's a conquest yard too that you can use to refit everything?
No, I wouldn't have thought so. That's going back to dry dock days. Don't even mention the D word.
Well, actually, on that, I brought it up. I can't remember. It must have been months ago when the second dock was when we started getting the second dock and started using it, because you know how it's only used for defenders and conquerors. I suggested, why can't they, every time there's a new raid cycle, allow us to build that raid cycle's fleet in there as well? Like then change it the next cycle and then change the next cycle.
I just know I have a lot of conquest yard build tokens, and I built that first day it came out.
Okay. Looks like we burned out this topic. How is everybody going on with the current TLCs? I've only been doing the one for the prototype seeker tokens. Not the one for the Phoenix. Has anybody been trying them, and how has that been going?
I actually have not been doing TLCs at all, holding my coins back.
Not TLC for me, so I'll just mute this one if you ask Tim's question.
I did them both, Hefe. They were not very difficult, to be honest. And,
Tideseeker one's pretty easy, yeah.
yeah, and although there was a lot of lag in one of those, but yeah, they're quite doable. You need fangs and Skyfires or Phoenixes, and no problem.
Well, I did the first iteration of the Tideseeker with my hunters, and I think I took it was under 2 hours worth of damage for all 4 components of the first run through. So yeah, it's pretty easy, even with Tideseekers, even with hunters.
Yeah.
Well, you just contradicted the other guy then earlier who said that hunters are no longer usable or viable hulls.
In that TLC, they're not bad.
Because my hunters at the moment, I do apologise to interrupt there, but I've got no armour on mine, so I tried the level 35 Scourge uranium target, and I got an hour and a half repair, whereas I can do it with the Proto Tideseeker for instant repair, just one that they give us. And that's grinding out again, but I can get uranium at 5k at a time at the moment, so I'm a bit cheesed off that they've taken every single uranium target, like the Man of War away, they've taken the Dubs away. Everywhere you could get uranium for free, they've taken away, and apparently they've taken away the 103 for the base parts, which won't be a good decision if they do that as well, because that'll be even harder to get base parts in.
Well, that's the trend that's sort of befallen us, I reckon. I guess it's anything you do is not going to be free anymore. There's going to be some kind of a price that you will have to pay, and it's like that. If you want it done quickly, you're going to have to coin. If you want to do it the slow way, hit it, repair it overnight. Well, then that's that's up to you.
Yeah.
But siege fleets were supposed to be the next base parts.
Yeah, well, I can do the base part targets, the 103s, with my 5 Buccaneers, and I get 22 minutes damage per on auto, not even looking at the target. So I can do, can fill up on like 4 or 5 of them, whatever I need, or even do 10 at a time if I want, and then put it on repaired overnight. Fill up, use them. I mean, upgrade a level 90 base. It's the uranium where I'm struggling, because the 190k uranium is quite tough to get at 5k at a time. Getting the base parts is nothing at the moment. When they do change, it will get harder, but it's a grind. It's turned into a grinders game now.
Unfortunately, it's going to come down to the daily chores there. When you get to do the sub things, we're going to get all your uranium.
Yeah, I was just about to mention it. If you do your daily chores and everything, you get every 3rd day you'll get 300,000 uranium.
How long do you think that campaign's going to last until that gets done?
Cut it out. I can tell you the prototypes that I have now. I can do the subsector for under 3 hours. And I've got 1 refit to do on each of them, and I'm hoping that with that and like just a basic crew, it'll be 2.5 hours or less.
And how many base parts do you get for that? Or are you doing other one, uranium?
It's the uranium one.
How much do you get for that?
I don't know.
Did you use Kick-Size build?
What did I know? I didn't even look at their build. I already had a build, so mine were already built.
I'm trying to remember how many.
Interested.
Do you remember how much damage we took when we did the hunters? I can't remember now. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that you're gonna. If you want to do shit for free, it's gonna be grinding. I mean, it's kind of going back to what we had to do before: grind for free shit, or take some damage and slow repair. I don't know. I mean, I autoed the Hydra target with somebody the other day.
Yeah, I've seen that video. It's a good video of that, actually. I've reposted it at his LO page for you.
Right.
But that's all fair enough, though. I mean, if you want it done quick, you pay, and if you want to do it slow, you grind. They gotta get their money from somewhere.
You don't gotta pay though. Why is everyone associating it with coining? You don't gotta coin shit.
No, what I'm saying is, if you wanna do it quick, if you wanna do everything right away, you pay. And if you don't, you'll do it overnight, and you'll grind. They have to keep the lights on. They have to get their money from somewhere. Not everything can be free. So I don't mind. I mean, I don't care.
I still don't understand the whole concept of having to pay if you want to do it fast. I mean, I can load up on all my shit now, and I'll have a ton of damage, but I can slow repair it. There's no need for me to actually coin. The only time I actually have to coin, and that's using the term loosely, is raids or bounty. I
didn't say you had to coin. I said if you want it done fast.
You said you don't pay.
This is what George is saying. You can fill up on your resource and not have to coin.
Yeah, you don't have to pay.
Well, I'm just telling you, it's the top player.
The problem I have is the term pay, because the pay means you're coining, and you don't have to. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
no.
I guess a more accurate description would be, if you want it done fast, you're going to take more damage. Kick-Size hoping that you will coin in doing so, but there are strategies in which you can go in, take the damage, and then go home with your ball and just do it slow. Or you can grind it out tediously and take very minimal damage, but it's going to take more of your time.
Right.
So I
exactly.
think it's just relying on the higher damage people that want it done quicker to go ahead and just coin their stuff.
They want the impatient fucks like Padre to coin everything.
Who are you calling Padre? Wait. Oh.
I think they get the coin up front, really, from people who want to rush the builds through so they don't have the shipyard locked up about all the time. So they rush the builds through so they can do the target or test the target or refit for the target, whatever, you know. I think that's where they get most of the coins from, plus bounty.
What kind of idiot repairs to refit a ship to see if it's more effective and then does it again to say, oh yeah, PvP is, that's who.
Yeah, just about everybody in the game.
I
was wondering where you were going with that one.
Let's try this build. Yeah, and let's try this. I will make you guys cry the amount of money Padre and I spend when we have an idea and we want to make it work and we want to go hit a base. I quite happily dropped $100, $200. I want to try this one out. And I, since that's right, I spent nothing.
But you just said something real interesting, because Matt said that in chat too, is that, you know, if you're having fun, you're going to coin, right? And that's the yardstick that people have to kind of remember. Instead of throwing, you know, coin at something, if you're not having fun, you just don't. But if you're having fun, you know, it's your entertainment money. You can do whatever the hell you want. But I would tend to think that players, if they're having fun, are going to do that. You know,
I spend much more on PvP exactly for that reason.
Because it's more fun.
I can have 1,000 gold on my account, and if I'm having a good time, it's gone in less than a couple of days. Just oh shit, where did that go? Well, I enjoyed it. It was worth it. $100, nothing.
And that's the catch, because you're having fun. And I think they're kind of forgetting that with all the stuff that they're. I mean, there's so many different layers to this thing, but I think that's one basic tenet that they have kind of lost touch with.
I'm about to hit a subsector. I'm gonna share screen on it. Just because I'm bored. I'll get it.
FA, can you ISO on him, please, so we can see it, if you don't mind?
I spend between $350 a month and $750 a month, and I'm retired, and it's getting too expensive. It really is.
Yeah, that's a car payment.
But John, you know, are you having fun? Yeah, John, are you having fun when you do it, or are you frustrated when you do it?
I'm frustrated.
See, so then the question I have is, why not focus on the parts of the game that you have fun, and that's the only place that you coin?
You can't do that. You can't do that.
I do.
Yeah, but no, you can't do it. Right, first of all, you can't PvP unless you do the raids. Raids bought the shit out of me. I don't know about you, but I am bored out of my mind. I can't be asked tying up a shipyard, building the ship for raid, and then...
That's why I auto everything.
There's no skill in the targets. That's what I'm saying. There's zero skill in any of the raid targets anymore. I mean, the joy used to... I like the sub targets. All right. Oh, look, I drove that perfectly. I took 0 damage. Oh, shit, I made a mistake. I've got to spend 5, 10 coins. But that was the fun. That kept me going. Now you just get damage. And get more damage. It's just a black fest. You might as well auto everything.
That's what I do.
There's no enjoyment in raids whatsoever. If I wanted to work, I'd work.
And you know what? And that's actually exactly why I auto almost everything that I can, because it's not. There's so many chores that it makes it not enjoyable. Every once in a while, I'll go in and drive and make sure that I can do this or that and keep, you know, certain skills sharp, but for the most part, I will auto anything that I fucking can, because it's all fucking chores now. I mean, the new subsector base crap, I'm autoing that thing. You know what I mean? With hydras, because fuck it.
Yeah. I mean, I've autoed everything for 7 years or almost 8 years of playing this game. So I've always autoed, from having wolves right up to having V2H, right up to having what we've got now.
Oh, I always used to drive in raids.
5 minutes short of 230.
Padre, is it me, or is your game not loading or something?
I don't. What are you?
The only thing that I'm not.
I just have a black screen.
Is the titanium targets because they're the level 85s and you can't really auto them. You've got to drive them.
It's.
I auto the 85s too.
Just looking at the pointer.
Yeah, I just see the pointer and that's it. Black screen and pointer.
85s.
Is that with Skyfires, George? Because I've only got.
Yep.
Yeah, I do it with Skyfire. Now I do it with my KDs, because I built the KDs instead of building manticles, because I don't want to cut in raids anymore.
Oh, I forgot I had the Cadies to do that. I still just sent in the Skyfires. Son of a bitch. Fuck.
You know, my ID is not as good as Happy's. He's not as low, but I'm a 1 million ID, and it just upsets me that I keep falling and falling behind, and I spend a lot of money.
I think that'd piss me off too.
Can you see
Yeah,
it now?
I think it would. Yeah, we can see it now. I mean, that would piss me off too because I don't coin that much, and most of it's just like in testing shit in the raids. And I mean, I'm not caught up on like PvP. I'm not at the at the top there because that would just cost an arm and a leg. But for the rest of the game, I'm more or less caught up.
Yeah,
I'd like to have a second Manticore fleet, but I chose to build the Cadies instead.
Well, it pisses me off because I eventually get a fleet that can do a target, and then it all changes. It's too fast for me. All changes.
Yeah, but man, we've had this conversation. There's some stuff that you choose to build that's already behind when you start building it instead of the other stuff. You know what I mean? Like some of that actually is choices, and some of it's just bad timing.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was someone that was saying something about why'd they have to change the dubs and this and that. I'm like, man, ironclads were doing them for 6 seconds of damage. We knew that it was going to change. Now, whether or not it should have changed this much is another story entirely. But the change itself, like actually changing them, we knew that was coming. I mean, it had to come.
Yeah, but did they have to create a situation where you had to build 4 new fleets?
I don't think you have to build 4 new fleets. Now, if you want to solo it, then yeah. I mean, that's you'll
Yeah, but how much? But you're taking what, 3 hours of damage?
2 hours 35 minutes on this build.
Yeah,
There should be a prize though. There should be something like you win a ship or you win a bunch of shards
blueprints
or something.
Yeah.
30 minutes damage to auto the base parts one. If you do it with another person with Hydras, you take about half an hour's damage on your flagship. That's all you need to fix.
I'm told an Apex Hydra hunter in front of the 4 Hydras works really well at cutting the damage.
Is that with both of you owning a Blood Hydra as well as 4 other siege cruisers?
Well, you lose the Blood Hydra because the Apex Hunter takes over the flag spot.
What? Wait, you're running an Apex Hunter with Hydras and
Autoing them is with 2 teams using the exact same stuff. I've seen where it comes out good. It comes out you got damage, but not as much as you do with all Hydras.
Oh, you don't mean Hydras, you mean Tide Seekers, right? Are you talking about
No Hydras.
Are you talking about the base parts target?
The siege.
Why would you use
a hunter will get 1 shot.
Yeah. why would you put a hunter in there?
I don't know why. I guess the player takes and uses it as a flag and uses the buff from it.
It doesn't buff.
Not a good. It doesn't work well.
It only buffs hunters and tide seekers. That's only good in the radioactive target, in the uranium target.
Are you talking about putting an Apex Hunter with
the 242? So now the thing is this, right? So he has the new hull. It's 242. This is what I took with my Hydras with somebody else. So it's the same damage, but he has double the resources or double the super resource, whatever the fuck you want to call it, the extra resource, because he soloed it. And that's why you would want the new fleets. If you want to solo it and double up on what you're getting.
If you can build it for free in your spare time, because I mean the bare hull on this.
How many did you get for that?
I don't know. I was already full. This was for
Click your
education
and it'll tell you.
Click what?
Did you not see how much uranium you got? It doesn't tell you.
Just hit X.
Hit the X.
It doesn't come up.
It didn't. I moved away already from the target.
Well, click on another one and just hit info. I think it says it on that too, doesn't it?
And they split down.
Oh, there's no info. Son of a bitch.
Yeah. And it's 250k and 500k if you do it alone or something like that.
That's base parts. I'm not sure what it gives you in uranium. I can't remember. I've never done one. Never will.
I never built the hunters, so I built these instead, and they were actually a cheaper, quicker build because the hull is 10 hours to build. So if the proto
co-op, you get 65,000 uranium. I think single, you get double that.
That's
So
not
I
a
could
lot.
run 2 or 3 of these.
120k uranium.
It's
So
pretty
how many
low.
of those things you got to do for 2 hours 40 damage? Fucking
Yeah,
hell,
so
it's
you'd have to
cheaper
run
do
this thing dead
Expedition.
and then whatever. And plus, it's only one hull that's taking damage because of the torps. The torps are ridiculous, and I'll show you my build on the one that's taking all the damage.
I actually do think they would do better with an Apex Hunter up front being a tank like we used to drive the raid target.
There's the build I'm using. That's the one that takes the most damage. It's my flag. Well, you know, quote unquote. And it's at, it says 89 and 92, but I don't know if that incorporates the bonuses for having 5 of them in the fleet. The other ones are a little different.
Yeah, it doesn't incorporate that.
They're 81 and 91. Although I'm thinking since that one's tanking all the torps, I could probably go with more explosive defense on the back. It just depends on what the red stuff is that comes out, what kind of damage it does. I haven't figured that out yet. I'm assuming it's explosive. But if it is, you could jack the explosive up on the ones behind and take virtually no damage on them at all and cut down your repair again. Dogs are saying I got a visitor. Be right back.
Got a visitor.
At this moment in time, there's only 2 damages to choose from, so it's a 50-50 choice, aren't you? You either put 2 on or you put 3 of one on and 1 on other.
On which targets?
On the new base part targets or the new uranium targets, they're only...
Every target's always biased towards one way.
Yeah.
And it's probably, if I had to guess, it's probably the exact same way it was in Raid.
Yeah. It's usually secondary damage that don't do as much in it.
The splash damage is explosive base, so if you're only getting hit by the red shit, that's explosive. But the torps are all concussive. So in the raid, it was much better if your flagship was concussive, and that was tanking all the torps, and then all the rest were high explosive. But the explosive deflection armor is pretty crap. It doesn't soak that much before it's disappeared anyway. So.
Well, yeah, it melts.
I actually, I was gonna say on my hunters, I had ablative for my special, and then I put all the concussive armors on, and that worked out great.
Yeah, the ones at the back shouldn't get hit. I don't know how you were driving the target, but
I was autoing it.
I was driving and doing it for like 20 minutes damage with a little sheet and pulling everything and driving back. But the only one of my hulls that were getting hit was the flagship, and I'd use that to tank torps. So I had 4 concussive on it. Well, no, 3 concussive, 1 explosive.
Yeah, I had 4 concussive on all of them, and ablative for the special, and I autoed them with a demo I was walking out with.
The last raid target, you must have been getting like 6 hours damage a pop. It was a nightmare.
For the hunters?
Yeah, the last hunter target was an absolute bitch. There were ways to cheat it, but yeah, people were taking loads of damage in that.
They probably should have copied my build then.
I want to see a replay of it. I didn't see anyone auto in it for under 4 hours damage.
The last raid cycle, I drove 2 mana cores and I got both flagships and a bunch of other stuff with it.
Last raid cycle?
That was Run's build.
Last raid cycle was
the last raid, not the raid cycle.
Okay.
Yeah, last raid you couldn't auto. It was the last raid was fucking shit.
No, the best thing was that 30% gain in speed with that gold crew on there.
It depends what you mean by auto, George, because I would auto him, but it would run at low-level targets.
I had to drive it all.
Mm-hmm. And autoerotic does not count. In case anybody is trying to work that into what he's saying, but yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead. Wow, a response from that? Okay.
Waiting for the next thing.
You're waiting for the next thing.
Next one.
Yeah, I've been checking the Kickstarter forums. I'm we're not hoping, but I'm expecting that they're going to make an announcement.
I'll go ahead and make the announcement. I am the new forum moderator.
Really? This is fascinating.
I'm replacing Laredo. I'm sorry, Laredo, that you had to hear about it here from me.
Don't you have to be literate for that?
You're gonna hurt his buzz.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be fascinating when that happens. But, you know. I thought you were the replacement for Spec, not Laredo.
I'm not a moderator. Never
We're
have
going to
been.
be making quite a few
Never
changes.
wanna be.
From now on, it will be required to mention hacking in all of your posts.
There you go.
To know
Hey, Spec. It was Buccaneers Plunder, right? That was the last one.
What do you mean the last one?
In the raid set for the oh no, that's Buccaneers, not Hunters. Damn it, I have to go find
No, I'm talking about the Hunter raid cycle, the last one.
Damn it.
I have a question for
What
George.
was the last one?
While you mentioned hacking on a positive note, and we should give a credit, am I correct in thinking that all the base designs are now server-side, and it is therefore pretty much impossible to hack anything in game?
When did this
I
happen?
have a question for George. George.
Hold on. Let me finish answering
Okay.
Hefe.
Okay.
Fairly recently, I had a little look at something. I run Fiddler quite often, and I run it for various reasons and looking at things, nothing specifically to do with the game. But from what I've seen, lots of stuff is server-side now. And lots of people who were writing the hack before are now having problems doing it. I don't think they're going to be as readily available. I don't think we're going to have as much as a problem with the cheats, which is good.
When did this happen? Did this happen in the last week, last 2 weeks, or when did things change?
there was a long update.
Last update, you know the long update? Then.
Okay.
I got a question for George.
Okay.
The map. George, with ad block, a lot of players are hacking Adobe to take and remove things from the map.
That's
now,
not happening.
Yeah,
that's allowed. But
I understand it's allowed, but let me finish my question. My question is, with them removing the stuff, and you got all these people putting codes in on the Adobe and changing it, is that why there's so much lag and there is leakage?
No.
Can't find.
No. The memory leakage is something completely different. What they're doing for when you use ad blocker on your computer, it's taking the little what the fuck do they call it?
Sprite.
Sprite. Thank you. Sprite. No, they call it a sprite. They're taking the sprite off of your screen. That's all it's doing. It's not affecting your game for what they're doing on that.
It was the chief designer of the game who actually taught me how to do that, and I've always done it. I do it with certain things. I remove the gantries from the map because that shit just gives me lag and it gets in the way. I don't need to see people's gantries, so I take those off.
Well, that's why they won't actually stop it.
But that's entirely server side. It's got nothing to do with them. They have a memory leak on various stuff. That isn't what's giving them lag this time. There's been an update to Flash Player, and it's having an effect on the game, and they're trying to fix that at the moment. So that's why we're getting all the lag at the moment.
Well, thank you for the answer, because I thought that it was creating lag and maybe the memory loss.
No, the more things that are on the map, like if you go into say Sector 1 and you start scrolling around compared to like Sector, I don't know, 403, you'll see that you'll start having more memory leakage in Sector 1 because so many things on the map that are loading and you're trying to scroll across the map, and that's where I usually see a lot of the leakage occurring.
And that's one of the reasons I use AdBlock to block out certain things, because I have less problems and don't have to refresh every time I hit a base.
Yeah, and it kind of works a little bit, and some of it doesn't because it's still loading, even though it's not loading the sprite up. It's still coming in the packets. You know what I mean? So it helps a little bit, but not if you keep on scrolling. It's just going to eventually catch up to you.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it because I have taken apologize to my old alliance. I quit for that reason.
No, you're fine. I mean, you can always ask. I mean, that's what we're here for, is to help. I mean, Spac, is that what you were looking for? December's Hunters trophy?
The thing with ad blocker is people are using it to remove likes of old style Drac bases, and because people used to hide the fleets under there, so they were using ad blocker to move the Drac bases so that they could see the fleet and kill the fleet. That's why a lot of people are complaining about it.
Yep.
But it wasn't.
I
intended for you to
understand.
be
I
able to
just
park
thought by
under there, right?
adding codes. I thought by adding codes to the Adobe, you're kind of screwing things up.
No, ad blocker is a standalone program. It actually just runs on your computer. So it's when they say they're adding a code, what they're really doing is adding the sprite like location, so it'll filter it out. That's why I said like it'll help, but it'll eventually catch up to you, because the info is still getting sent in on the packets. It's just not loading up on your screen.
Thank you kindly, because I really got upset with everybody and quit an alliance for that reason.
No, not a problem. And Rum, you started asking, what did you say?
It wasn't ever really intended to be able to hide a fleet under the Drac bases,
Right.
from what I remember.
Exactly. Yes. No,
So that's how
correct.
they justify it's okay to do the. I mean, it's not intended, so.
It's on the map. It's fair game. That's their position.
George, you said you're here to help. Is that right?
I sure try.
Oh, I'm a bit low on coins. Can you help?
I am too. I am too. I think everybody is at this point, because holy crap.
Zero coin here.
I'm not. I haven't spent anything for the last month. It's just I haven't even put the coin onto the game. It's like this game's cost me nothing.
I mean, dude, I'll be honest.
A
Yeah,
month
how much
actually?
How much have you actually played? Because I like the last couple weeks, it's not been a lot, man. Like I'll do it a little bit here and there. I've spent more time on shows than I have on the game. That's bad.
Oh yeah, same.
That's bad. That's bad sign.
I kind of log in. I log onto Twitch and talk to people, and then obviously we have a mutual friend who can't really get on at the moment, and I do his chores. I do my chores, and then I'm done.
That's just saying to me, George, that you can do the top end targets to get the stuff quicker than I can, because I have to grind my butt off, so I'm on it most of the day.
And I've told you before, if you focus on one fleet at a time, you will get caught up. It's you try and do like 50 million things at once, and you end up just kicking yourself in the ass.
No, I've always done it. I always tried to get a fleet out to do the job that I need to do it for, and that's what I've been working on. I'm now at the moment working on a titanium fleet, which I've just finished my Phoenix fleet all with armors now, so I can do the 85, but I have to drive it. I can't auto it yet because I ain't got my Skyfires done.
Why'd you build the Phoenix first then?
Because I only had Phoenixes.
Because what?
Because I only had Phoenixes. I never got the Skyfires until probably last month, and then I got Mars and Raid.
But this is where I get a little confused, because if you're building Phoenixes now, right, with all the TLCs that we had for the Skyfires and stuff too, why did you bother building the Phoenixes instead of doing the fleet that you needed for the chore?
Because I didn't have that fleet available at the time. I've only had Phoenixes. I never got given a Skyfire fleet like everybody else in the game did, or they've bought it or whatever, you know. I have to work.
When did you get the blueprint?
Well, I don't know. Not long back. I've only just fully finished VXP in it and then fitting armor to it.
One word of advice: if you got the Skyfire, do not put the new armors on it. Use the charged armors. They're meant to be on it for the 85s.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, you can put 2 and 2, actually. They work a bit better then, but yeah.
I've got to put that in my bag of builds and shake it up and see what comes out.
Truthfully, I wouldn't bother building either of those fleets at the moment. I wouldn't waste your time. I would concentrate on building your manticores because the targets are going to change pretty soon.
Yeah, manticores.
And now someone can prep 85s for you. I've got a KDs that you can just pull out in the last 3 minutes, and it takes me a couple of minutes in the target, and you just have to drive in. You can drive in with an Apollo and get 15k to take.
Yeah, I've got friends that can prep any target out, but I don't want that. I want to play the game myself. My battle
I'm saying if you're wasting the time building Phoenixes and Skyflyers, you are just tying up your shipyard and eventually just falling further behind. It's better to one of your alliance.
And that's what he does and that's the part that I try and get into him is like he's going to have to skip something somewhere and get some help so he can get caught up, because like right now, what's the new target that's changing over? We just finished with the what was it? The Bucks and the Hydras, right?
Oh yeah, the 85s that they disappearing soon.
Yeah, so make sure you have a Buccaneer fleet or a Hydra fleet done. And I would probably do the Buccaneer fleet unless you know how to build the Hydras to auto.
No, I've got a Buccaneer fleet already. I'm on the way to building a fleet now.
Okay, so hold on. So you have the Buccaneer fleet, right?
Yeah.
And that's complete. So you can auto a target with that.
Auto 103s, yeah, for 300,000 base parts.
Don't, the 103s are not what I'm talking about. The 103s are going to go bye-bye.
Yeah, I know.
I don't care about the 103s. You can auto, like, say, an S target. Are they completely built?
Yeah.
The armor and everything on them. They're
ready now. Yeah.
They are. Okay, so they're fully built. The next thing you do is you go to the next chore that you need to get done, or you concentrate on the next raid.
Manticores, he should focus, because that is also the next chore that is going to be changing.
Yep.
You should get Manticores built as quickly as possible and build the corrosive version so you can auto.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what I'm working on. I'm working on a siege cruiser fleet at the moment, and then once their blanks are done, I will be ready for VXP in them and doing a.
You'll be falling behind if you focus on.
Wait, what are you building?
No choice but to fall behind.
Wait, what are you building right now?
A siege cruiser fleet at the moment, 4 blanks. They're only 2 days and 23 hours to build each.
You're using your regular shipyard to build those?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever for?
Unless you need them for dubs. New SSRBs, whatever you want to call them. I've said dubs that many that long now. I keep saying dubs. I want to be able to either co-op it or go in on my own, but I won't be able to go in on my own because you need the protos for that, and I don't know if I'll get the proto, either of the protos that's coming out, or the fleet of prototypes. I've got one.
Never build chore fleet. Never. My advice, bearing in mind I took 3-4 years off and I came back catching up, and someone wise told me, focus on the fleet du jour and get that built. Because you'll be behind, get as much help as you can, but focus on the current fleet, the current raid fleet. If you can get that built and done and out, by the time the next cycle comes around, you'll be able to do that chore, and then you focus on the next one, and it was really easy for me to catch up.
Yeah.
It was a pain in the ass at the beginning, and I had to ask for help.
I'm confused. What the hell? What's a siege cruiser?
It's a special hack he has.
No, like
it's an upgrade on the Punisher, right? That you're building.
What is a siege cruiser?
You probably shouldn't talk about test server stuff here, guys.
I'm sitting here. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck he's building. I don't know what the hell is a siege cruiser. For dubs.
The new one that's just come out.
The Tide Seeker?
The one that's just come out, you mean the Manticore?
Or the Impact Cruiser?
Hold on a minute, I'll tell you.
Okay.
How much have you had?
See, that's what I thought. I thought he meant the Impact Cruiser. I'm trying to figure out how in the fuck you're gonna put that in a dub.
The Hydra Siege Cruiser.
Oh, he's right. Yeah, don't bother building Hydras at the moment. You said you've already got a fleet of Hydras.
No, I haven't. I says
you have a fleet of Buccaneers. You don't need the fucking Hydra.
You don't need the Hydra at all.
Why are you building that? Work on your mana cores.
It's a new siege fleet, isn't it?
No, it's not
No,
new.
it's not.
It's old.
Build one ship of every hull and then start over. That's how you catch up.
No.
Of each
No,
class.
that's
Of
bad
each
You
class.
mean one fleet, not one ship.
One fleet
Oh no, yeah.
for
I know.
each class.
Kidding.
Don't you do not need the Hydras. And I'm just telling you right now, if you're gonna build the Hydras to do some of the crap that you're seeing in the videos, like some of those are odd builds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
I always just build the auto one because I would rather take more damage and take my ball home and repair slower
Yep.
or even coin than.
and he's got it. He's got the Buccaneer
with it.
already. So why build the Hydra? Why are you're wasting shipyard time? You're putting yourself behind instead of the game putting you behind.
So what you're saying is from now on he needs to get all of his build initiatives approved by the group.
We tried that before.
What should I build now?
Question for Padre Prince.
He's not here. What?
Oh, somebody like him.
Never ask Padre Prince about PvP.
Or Prince Padre,
That
whatever.
is all I'm telling you.
PvP, I'm going to go.
Yeah, PvP, you can ask him all day long. He's not likely to give you an answer if it's the latest.
Okay.
But
What the change is this new ship that was just one that we didn't participate in? Is that going to become a monster?
No, not particularly. There's still some pretty, even with, well, it depends on how Kix works the math out. Because, there's people saying different things at this point in time about the math. But you may or may not be able to do all the damage in the world with your turrets. Although I think certain turret groups will still hurt it. But you could build it to where the turrets don't hurt at all, but at which point in time you'll open yourself up to other damage types. And all you have to do is just make sure that, I think a good rule of thumb for everybody is going to be to cover your turrets, cover those two damage types, ballistic and missile. And the other damage types should be covered primarily by your hull. The holes in your base. If you do that, if you're covering every single damage type, if anyone, if they misstep in their build at all or go too heavy one way or the other, you've got a better chance of stopping the new fleets, regardless of what they are.
New Hull's not getting in my base.
Well, thank you kindly for the answer because, I was a little worried because, we skipped the bounty.
I did too, and I'm still not worried.
We all did an SDS7, and trust me, Impact Cruiser's not going to get in my base. Exactly by doing what Padre suggested, cover all the damage types on your defensive fleet.
Okay.
And it won't get...
because I'm really covered pretty heavy on I'm in a missile faction, so
yeah,
I got 7 of those.
That's fine, and your ballistic won't do squat to that cruiser anyway. So if you're covering ballistic or if you're covering missile, you're gonna force their build to go heavy on the missile protection, which will open them up to other damage types.
To give you a little tip, if you build the Impact Cruiser in such a way where it can hit a base even after the changes, you might be able to, well, you'll definitely be able to cover the ballistic. You'll be able to cover most of the penetrating, maybe not all of it. And then you have a U-plate to put on, right? If you want to put your U-armor, and that covers a little bit of your corrosive, radioactive, and concussive, but it has no inherent explosive deflection. Are people going to really put rockets on an Impact Cruiser to get their explosive up? Or a mortar? Do you see what I mean? There's lots of, they might, but there's lots of little areas where they don't cover. So if you cover all the damage types, a hope will kill an Impact Cruiser that's not built properly. It'll easy bust.
Well, thank you kindly because I do have hopes with explosive.
Yeah, you can have 300k explosive, 400k explosive coming off a hope. It's pretty hard to cover that without putting 3 or 4 missiles on an Impact Cruiser. You put 3 or 4 missiles on an Impact Cruiser and it's not going to do any damage. You see what I mean? So it's kind of easy to keep it out.
And honestly, in my defense fleet, I do not have any deflection breaking hulls. I'll just throw that out there. All my stuff is pass through. A lot of pass through.
Well,
Unless they went full
I have
MC
one.
Monty.
Do what?
Unless they went full MC Monty.
Yeah, no, that would be
Side
a
by
problem
side.
for them in my base.
Yeah, yeah.
I have one of my hopes is offloadiums, and the other one's explosive.
Yeah, that'll work good if we're on their ballistic cannons, because they won't be able to hit you unless they sit and outrange. So just kind of design it to where they have to sit in a point where they're taking good damage from other damage types. I don't know.
But yeah, I got
either way,
wardens
we're
that
gonna run it.
reach that.
Yeah, perfect. Because right now I'm running 1 onslaught and 4 wardens in my base.
I had to take and remove my high warden because I added because of the sloths. I added an omni that's really buffed.
You can add a high guard warden with anti that does a pretty darn good job of shooting down antis. Although I don't know with this upcoming changes, because it's just the hulls that are getting debuffed to an extent to where they say it should have been initially. Is that accurate? I sort of glanced over all that material.
It kind of bothers me as part of this post that we should be talking about anyways, because the Zelos of my little base, they count on the countermeasures, and they're saying they're debuffing it to 1 shot.
On certain it's only on certain things. I'd have to pull up. Does anybody have that post pulled up they can share? Because that might be important to go over, because there was some confusion even in my alliance about what was getting the treatment and what wasn't.
As far as I know, the Zelos is losing. It is going to be 1 shot only.
You mean with the built-in countermeasure that it has?
Yeah, they're changing the dual countermeasure. It won't work as a dual weapon. It'll only shoot and tag the target.
They can't do that.
Well, even a Zelos in your base, I mean, maybe for a small base, but
Not in the base. We're talking about, to do the chores for the low-level players doing the 111s.
Yeah, 11 targets.
aren't those going away soon, or no? I don't know. Again, we're talking stuff.
Well, they took them away, didn't they, and then brought them back. And
if they take them away, the low-level players don't have a chance to catch up at all. Not on 89s.
They don't care about that, though, because they're changing the game so that people change the way that they play. As I read it, they were trying to say that they want people to be competitive, so they've got to keep up with the game. That's what they're trying to say.
Yeah,
so
you
when we
should
change the
definitely
time,
work
we
to
want you
be.
to change the ships.
I mean, I think if you put in the effort or the coin, either one, to be a top level player, you'll get more equipment. But I think that after a certain amount of time, all that stuff just needs to be released. They need to dump it in a raid and dump it on the FM and say, look, here's everything. Catch yourself back up. Everybody else has had a good run with this stuff. Like onslaughts, they could put those in the raid for cheap, and that would be a great fleet for base hitting for a lot of
they
people.
can put those things in the FM for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to get people. Anywhere. Yeah, they got to get people in and caught up. I mean, this is something I've been harping on for fucking 2 years now. Like, they've got to get people feeling relevant, and not 3 fucking to 6, 9 months later.
Yeah, it needs, 3 maybe is appropriate. I feel
no,
like
if you come back, right? If you come back or you're a new player or whatever, you got to feel at least some sort of relevance very quickly. Because in the past, the reason why everyone loved the game was because everyone was kind of there. You know what I mean? We were at least close to each other in terms of level and stuff that we had. Now there's such a great disparity. You've got to get them caught up. I mean, not caught up to the top end, not that, but I mean, at least so they feel relevant.
Well, I said that on another show, George, that my son-in-law, I got him to join back after 2 years of playing the game, and he went to do an 89 and got absolutely destroyed his fleet. I said, you won't make it with that fleet anyway. He tried like a fool, and he got destroyed. And then next day I logged on, he had a fleet of icebreakers waiting for him, all fully skulled ranked.
Well, actually, the reason I'm asking is because my level 74 base, I only have it so I can speak to people on the forums and post stuff. But I bought a monolith thing from Kickside for $80, and it took me 3 months to refit it to be able to do 115s and 111s. You know, and then they were pulling it. It really pissed me off. So I'm the one that suggested put it back for the low players and take and put it back to 150 value, and they went
You
with
can
it.
do the 117s with monoliths and one tank of the new hull. The
dragon. Yep.
Yeah, I do 10. I do 10 auto 112s at the moment, so that gets me my 3 million points.
This little base I don't feed the coin. It's no way it's going to ever get an Inferno. It's just not gonna. It's got right now. It's got two the new from Bounty. It's got the two onslaughts, and I'm building Bolinas right now, and a couple more slots behind it.
No. Well, like I say, I use my Savage Kodiak and 4 Dragons and auto 112s for 3 million points. I do 10 at a time.
Not bad.
It's about 7 hours and 57 minutes, I think it is, repair. And I just put it on overnight, go to bed, get up next day, it's done.
Yeah, and I auto the 117s. I mean, that's where, I mean, you got, if you're gonna make, you know, if you're gonna sit and do a slow repair for the fleet, you know what I mean? Like,
how many 117s can you do though with dragons? And do you do it with a Kodiak?
yeah, Savage Kodiak and dragons. And if I drive, I have it under an hour damage for each one, but I usually am just too damn lazy because it's at the FM and I just want to gouge my eyes out after the first one. So it's something like it runs between an hour and a half and just under 2 hours.
Have a code.
So
you must be
I'm doing 117s for 3 coins now, so I'm good with that. I don't mind coins.
Yeah, I don't use a Kodiak. I just use 4 Inferno Dragons, and I drop a couple of the little pinches, and I can get it for 2-3 coins, so I can do my whole FM and then just leave it to repair overnight. I can do like 6 or 7 targets.
6. I'm going to say you have to do about 6 or 7 to do as many as I do with 112s. I do 10 of them, which is 3 million. So you must have to do 6 or.
Yeah, I do 6 or 7, and I get it done in about 30 minutes, and then I put my ships on repair overnight. It doesn't cost me a penny.
yeah, I do 3 or 4 on auto and repair them overnight and not give a fuck. I mean,
Yeah, I do the 3 coins, but I use a Savage Kodiak and I don't pinch anything.
Remembering though, I used to do 111s only a couple of weeks ago, so the dragons I'm well happy with now.
Well, it's only an hour to build a pinch, so you can bang those out as well. But yeah,
an hour,
15 minutes.
13 minutes to build a.
I use the bigger one, but yeah.
Oh, you noob.
No, you only need the extra. You only need the small one, which is 17 seconds.
I'm fucking slow. I'll arrive and the bastards are not shooting at me.
I hit bases, so the only thing I build is the big one, 6 hours plus.
Yeah, you don't need that many. You need to stall that building for like 17 seconds or something like that, which is what the other small pinch does. The small long pinch. That's what
you realize that we're all hitting 117s and you're hitting the 112 though, right?
Yeah, that's fine. You're still going to pause a building as long as I am with a pinch.
I'm a reaction player. When somebody hits my base or hits my friends or anything else, I go out and PvP. I bring the big pinch.
Yeah, and the targets are also different when you're in the inside of that thing, and this is why SPAC probably runs that bigger one, because if I'm driving, I use the bigger one too, because you just want to drop it and not have to worry about it because you're still driving around the inside of that fucking target.
Mm.
You know, it's not the same as the 112.
No, I don't use pinch on 112. I used to use the pinch on the dubs, but scattergun at end.
I ended up autoing those too because I didn't have any patience.
I guess Kixeye's not making their announcement today. I thought they were making their announcement.
What announcement?
Okay, the changes. I'm sorry, Ron. The changes in the countermeasures. What do you guys think of them?
I'm not sure until I see it.
Yeah.
I have grave concerns.
Yeah, agreed. I'm not gonna be judging until I see it.
They shouldn't be fucking with the zealous, let's put it that way, because the only people that screws is the middle and lower players.
Yeah.
SPAC, what announcement are you expecting?
He's pregnant.
It's not for me to say, but
It's
I thought
twins.
No, I'll deal with that at some point. But yeah, it will be. I'm gonna wait till 9 o'clock Eastern time, and we'll go from there.
Good lord, that's a 2-hour show. What the fuck?
Well, you know, I'm
Some
giving
of us
them a
have to eat
chance.
dinner.
Yeah,
I
I got
did that. I did that. already.
It's only 13 minutes from now.
I got more beer
I
to
could.
There's one thing I want to know is why do Kixeye feel they have to update the game every week? Why can't they do it once a month?
I don't know. Maybe.
Why do they have to do 52 updates a year? Why can't they just do 12?
I agree with that.
they can't, right, because they're constantly working on content and fine tuning it. You at least need an update before every bounty. You at least need an update before every raid, and then the other two. I just
well, you need one, and you need one for each of the FM cycles too. So that's 3 out of the 4 right there.
Yeah, well, that's their problem. They brought the raid into it, they brought the bounty into it, and they brought FM to every week. So you know,
But
that's
it's not their problem. That's why they do the updates, is because of those 3 things right there. And the 4th one, who knows? Maybe it's partly maintenance, partly bugs.
Yeah.
Anthony, I thought you were going to talk Raiden. GD Raiden. I thought you were going to talk Raiden. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's why we're just talking about.
Are you guys talking about how that guy quit? Larry?
Yeah.
No, well,
not Larry.
Rakin.
Well,
no, I don't know.
Okay. I'll bring it up now.
No,
I was waiting till 9 o'clock. I was waiting till 9 o'clock to. Well, you guys have already, I mean, I've been playing this game for a long time. I have a 4-digit ID, and I have 2 favorite game designers that have been in the game. One's been gone for about 4 years, and known as Kalara or Admiral Shoulder Huggers or whatnot.
Yeah,
well, that's how people would know him. And then my second favorite was J.D. Rakin, who seemed to have the players back, and you seem to have an idea, like when you saw something that you saw a target, you saw technology, you saw something in the game where you're like, well, this is fucked up, but they're going to fix it. They're going to make it right based on the player base.
Yeah.
And the players will feel happy about the ultimate outcome. This is my second. I'm sorry, considering what's going on, to make him my second favorite is B. Rakin, and I think he's been great for the community. He's done the best job I've seen as far as going on the forums and explaining what is going on in the game. But it appears that he's no longer. There's been some leaks and whatnot. I was waiting for something to pop on the forums during the show, but it appears that he's no longer part of Kixeye, which I find to be very sad, because that kind of knowledge that he has of being with the game for years and understanding the player base
and the mechanics.
And the mechanics, yeah. It's a great loss to the community in my mind. And it's a very sad day in my mind as far as the fact that he's no longer part of the influences that are working on the game so that we understand at the end of the day what is going on. Yeah, I'm not happy at all. I know a lot of players are not happy with this, but he was, he's not bad. He's just no longer with Pixar. Maybe I sound too sad, but it's worrying to me as far as the future path forward with somebody that didn't have, now we're probably going to end up with somebody that does not have at least the history of having the backs of the players, understanding the mechanics of the game, understanding the player mentality. I find it really disappointing. A employee of Kickside like this is, I think a great asset to them. And I'm really sorry that, as a player base, we no longer have him as somebody to, have our backs and understand what the players are thinking about. And I'm just saddened by the whole thing personally.
I am also. We're going to end up with another GD Osprick.
Yeah, it's one thing to say. But yeah, he was.
It's unfortunate though. It happens in every business that, doesn't it? They get rid of they want to get rid of when they want to get rid of them. There's nothing you can do about it.
Well, I
he
think
may
it's
have voluntarily moved on to another situation. He's there.
Well, I think it's no surprise that we've been having problems with balance issues in the game over the last month or two. If he's no longer around, let's put it that way.
Well, the balance issue for PvP began when the turrets first came out. I mean, that was recognized immediately.
But there was a plan in place to deal with that.
Actually, it was a split of PvP and PvE.
I concur 1000% with that.
I would have thought it were more.
That's where the problem began, was with the split.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. I know for a fact that Riken knew that the turrets were multiplicative and not additive.
Not at first, he didn't. I can guarantee you, because that's where I went. That's
2.5 months ago.
Hmm?
I had a conversation with him and told him. After Templar's test, we told him then 2.5 months ago.
Oh yeah, no, I know. But that wasn't how it was.
Yeah, he didn't at first, but yeah, you're right. But he knew he was getting feedback. He's the one talking to the community, getting the feedback, checking things get fixed. If you remove someone like that from the loop, then they're not getting the feedback they need, and more mistakes like this will continue happening. So I'm not just saying it's sad he's gone and is no longer there. Someone needs to understand and take over that mantle and actually talk to people and find out what's going on. Because again, the player base knows more than the coders about how the game works.
If Kixeye sent me to school to do coding, I'll take and do it.
Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Sounds really boring.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just think it's a loss to the, we haven't had an announcement. That's why I mentioned this in the beginning of the show. I consider it a loss for the community as far as, like I said before, understanding of the community, understanding of the ins and outs and the archaic nature that the code seems to work in Battle Pirates, that they can't be getting rid of people who have seniority associated with it. I mean, because everybody makes mistakes. Like shoulder huggers, Admiral Shoulder Huggers, Claire, whatever Eric, he didn't realize how the reload mechanism worked and associated with the XP and rank until Larry started doing something, and I looked at what Larry did, BP Professor, and then I told him. He's like, no, it doesn't work that way. And I'm like, and then he went and talked to the server engineers, and he saw it did work that way.
Half the time, the server engineers don't know what they're dealing with specifically within the game, so they won't be able to tell you. The best way to actually find out is to get a rough idea of how something works and then empirically test it, which is why players like Templar, the forum mod, are invaluable, because he's quite happy to run tests on things like this all day. And then you can get an exact number and know what's going on, which is generally how things work.
Yeah, I don't know about happy, but
With 40 years of manufacturing management, which is behind me, and I'm retired now, but I found that people that had a good incentive, I just promoted them and let them put them in like Q&A and put them in places where they were really important. You can't lose the knowledge, you know what I mean? If somebody knows what's going on, you got to use it.
Yeah, historical knowledge and something like that, something like this, are very important. I'm just saying it's a big loss, and I always found him with his comments and whatnot. I always found him to be somebody that was on the side of the player base, and because everybody realizes there's other things out there like product, and there's different people besides game designers involved in the decisions that result in what we see.
I think actually the money people right now, the sales crew is more in charge than everything else.
Product analytics. But again, I'm sure analytics aren't feeding back great numbers at the moment. I'm not sure product will be doing so well, so whoever's in charge has got to look at everything and decide how to fix it. I just hope that she does that with a little bit of consultation.
Well, we've got to look at it this way as well. With SSRBs, at least we've got one less target on map all time now. So that might cause less lag. You never know.
Okay.
Well, actually, all the drag bases became SSR, so there's a lot more of them.
Yeah, but don't forget there's no dubs now, is there? There's no drag bases or no dubs, so there's only one target now.
they take the same spot. It's going to still load, on each spot a target. It doesn't matter that it's the same target. It's still loading that spot on the map for each one of them. It hasn't changed anything.
Okay, is there anything else that we should be talking about on the live show where, 8 minutes ago, people were complaining that we were going to go for 2 hours, and
I want to go get a fucking bacon cheeseburger, for crying out loud.
Hey, that's what my wife.
Oh, those aren't good. Those aren't good for you.
I don't give it. There's a lot of shit that's not good for me.
Eat some kale.
Breathing ain't good for me. I mean, shit, I'm gonna die breathing.
Baba says eat spinach.
Bacon gives you cancer. That's the latest one I heard.
Oh, does it?
And my nephew, no word of a lie, he sat there and he likes his toast like almost black. So we toast bread and get black. And apparently the black on toast is carcinogenic.
Yeah, on steak and all that other crap. And I'm like, yeah, I love a good sear, so I don't give a shit.
The elder nephew said to him, "You can't eat that. Grandma says it will give you cancer." So we researched it online, and apparently it's linked with ovarian cancer. So fuck, your ovaries are screwed, young nephew. Anyway, you get cancer from everything. Don't give it up.
Yeah,
I want to thank the Hope Panel for having me on. As I have to leave, and I really appreciate all you. Thank you kindly.
See you later, buddy.
Later, John.
Have a good night.
So, does anybody have any other parting words associated with the show as far as things that we might have missed?
Don't piss into the wind.
Don't eat yellow snow.
You gotta watch out where those huskies go.
You know what that one meant.
You opened up
the other one. Yeah, the husky one threw me off. But yeah.
Wait, you ever heard that Frank Zappa song? Never mind.
Sorry to
Oh,
Age has left, and all the best to him. Hope it all goes good for him.
I'm sure it was. He did a good job. He seems like a very decent person and whatnot. I didn't know him personally. I just I would see him on the TFC show, and I would see what he would write, and I think you guys know that pretty much every other week I'm like, Kitty Rakin needs to make a post because he was so good at communicating with the player base, associated with changes in the game, vision, future vision. It's, I mean, there needs to be a superhero that comes out of all this mess that's going on, so that we can move forward with this game. Because personally, I don't see it going in a great direction at this point, and I think a lot of people have seen that he's been removed from talking to people, at least from the forums and whatnot recently. And I'm assuming that's somewhat related to his departure. So I'm just speculating.
I heard he went over to 6X. He's working for them now.
Wow. So you can get some good hacks there. Yes.
I said, you might have made his head grow that much that they got rid of him, so that because you know how much you all love to buy Kick's Eye.
Okay.
Anyway, never mind.
Alrighty. But does anybody else have anything they want to say about any TLCs or whatever?
I think
before we end and go to the after show.
We're done. Good night. Adieu. Farewell.
Okay. I'm going to copy and paste the link in case anyone wants to join the after show. We're close to full right now. And
I'll
I know
pop off.
I know Earth wants. No, you don't need to pop off. Oh.
I'm popping
We're
off.
still going.
I'm popping off to go eat. So you guys keep on chatting.
I'm not sure who's popping off, but I'm just saying I posted the link in case anybody'd like to join us, and see everybody on Wednesday, right? And we'll see what craziness we have in front of us.